Sorry.
That was super weird.
I started the meeting. I've just been sitting here waiting, and then Amy's like, "Hey, it won't let me in. It says you're in another meeting." I'm like,
no, I didn't change anything, and I don't know. I just went in a different way and put the actual meeting ID in directly.
And it let you in?
And then it let me in, so I don't know.
Weird.
It said the same thing to me, that you had another meeting in progress, and I was like, all right.
But it says this is a recurring meeting, so I don't know why.
Right, I know.
I do that, but
it's the damnedest thing. So.
Whatever.
Hey guys,
technology.
How's it going?
Good.
Good. Welcome, Jean. You guys aren't here last day. Awesome. Very cool. We should, Tia and John Murray. They aren't here either. They signed up. Tia signed up twice under 2 different emails, and they're not here. So.
Have you gotten any confirmation from either one of them, like replies to the emails or anything?
No, but that's okay.
Are they in the Facebook group?
I think you're the only one who's accepted the invite for it. So
I added Ching and I added Mike Bradley because he
cool.
potentially interested.
Cool.
I added myself.
You did?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Because I have the NACE logins now to create events or whatever, and so I just added myself, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to?"
Early.
So I was like,
and I added Darren. So cool. Well, welcome. Who weren't here last week, I don't know if you watched the replay or if you need kind of a rundown of what we're trying to do with the study group. So basically the main lady, Ann Harper, who runs the CPCE, the Certified Professional in
Catering and Events.
What can come to me? She joined us last week and gave us a rundown of what the requirements are to even be able to apply, which you have to have either a degree in hospitality or 36 months of experience in hospitality. You have to be able to prove it. And then 30 hours of educational time, so like conferences and webinars and going to watch speakers, and you do have to have like receipts or some kind of show proof for that. And then once you get those, you apply for the test. And then once the test date is set, you can apply for the scholarship. So the application for the test is $525. And if we have 5 people submitting their applications together, which means when you get your application done, you would email it over to me, and then I would submit it for you. If you want to pay by check, you'll have to get me the check so I can send that in with the applications, but she said she can run multiple different credit cards so you can all pay separately. So hi, Nicole, welcome. So the aim of the study group is basically to hopefully, this will be just about all you need to do for studying other than a little bit outside of this. We have kind of on purposely made it a 3-month program so that we have you know, just kind of a reoccurring time that we always meet, and it's easier to, you know, make it here, and we'll hold you accountable saying, hey, where was Ching? Or hey, where was, you know, Tia or whoever, and just kind of be each other's kind of resource for different things. We have actually some really big names coming to talk with us about the different 8 core competencies. I just got off a chapter leaders happy hour, and they were all very excited about our study group. They're hoping to have 29 more CPCEs by the end of the year. And with our study group, it's, you know, 5, 6, 7. So they're all very excited about what we're doing here. A lot of them are what they call fast track certified. Fast track is like a 1 day, 8-hour
cram session
basically, and it's fairly intense, and then usually you do it the day before the test. I think our chapter is considering having that as well, and you don't have to take the test all on the same day. We learned that last week, so you can schedule your own time, or we can take it all at the same time if we want to.
and you get your results right away.
Yeah, you do. So if you fail, you know which questions you didn't get right. If you pass, they just say you passed, and you don't know if you aced it or if you barely passed at 70%. So
it'll make me crazy.
Right? I want to know
what I got right and what I got wrong, and
right.
That part's gonna drive me nuts too. Like I'm like, I want to know like how well I did.
Right, exactly. So
doing that.
Yeah, the test is 175 questions, multiple choice, which I always think multiple choice is a bit easier. And 4 options per question. You get 2.5 hours to do it. If you fail, you can retake it. You have to retake it within a year, and it costs $200 for the retake instead of $525. There are 9 scholarships this August 18th is the deadline, and so we all have a pretty good chance of getting the scholarships. So that will be awesome. And non-NACE members are eligible to take the test and get certified. It just costs you a little bit more for the study guide. It costs you a little bit more for the test.
And you're also eligible for the scholarship even as a non-NACE member, because the scholarship does not come from NACE, it comes from a separate foundation.
Wow. That was one thing I didn't know, so thank you. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of anything else. The study guide is $99. Ching asked, do we really need the study guide? I don't know the answer to that question, but we have a speaker next week that might be able to fill us in. She's doing the beverages. Her name is Monique Studak. She's NACE National, and she actually helped revise the new version of the study guide that's coming out next year. So she kind of knows a lot about that. We have lots of different speakers from NACE National coming, and I didn't realize they were quite so big of names. So they were all so very nice to volunteer their time, 20-30 minutes to come talk to us. We're hoping to keep these to an hour or less each week, so it's not too much of an involvement.
I think the piece on whether or not you'll want the study guide, and I'm sure Monique can speak to this next week, is everybody's brains work differently. So however works best for you, if having something physical like a study guide is how you learn and retain and take notes and highlight, then that's probably a good investment for you, and probably a great reference guide to have on hand as a professional. But if just being able to do the study groups and kind of get that high level intro to each piece, you do not have to get the guide. So whatever you feel is best for you to retain that information.
Yeah.
And my little take on it too, after sitting through multiple certification tests, is kind of the more you have, like before you take the test, like the more resource you can, especially if they're like, oh, these are great reference guides, or there's even stuff on the NACE National website that's like a resource library, especially on any of those categories that you're not super great in, helps. Like you want to set yourself up for success. Like you don't want to pay $600 to flunk. It sucks because I've done it, but like you just want to give yourself like as much power and information as you can to pass. And I mean, honestly, $100, like I know right now it sucks for everybody, but it's kind of a small price in the grand scheme of things to be able to set yourself up to be able to really do well. It's just my personal take on it. But
and Yeah, if we get the multiple person discount of $100 per person, and then the scholarship is $425, then the test itself becomes free, and it'll only cost you the study guide. So
I explained it to Ching, and it's a couple different ways it could go.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if we don't have at least 5 in our group, then the full price is the $525. If we have at least 5 people, then we all get that $100 discount, so it would be $425. Then if you get the scholarship on top of that, that is for $425. So the whole thing could be free, or it could be $425, or it could be $100, or it could be $525. So,
depending upon how it all shakes out.
shot in the dark.
So yeah.
I want to put my 2 cents in, because this is thinking about getting a certification has been something that I've thought about for a long time. And my question for Kristen, I don't know if we've met. You look familiar, but and I don't believe I've met Nicole. So I own a wedding planning company, but I spent years in hotels and catering and venues and all that. So at some point I said, do I even need this? No one has ever asked me for it, especially as a wedding planner. I don't recall ever having a potential client ask me if I'm certified in anything. And so I kept thinking to myself, is this something that I even need? And someone said it to me in a way that really resonated with me and my personality, which is, she said, I did this for myself. I did this to prove to myself, if for no one else, that I know what the hell I'm doing, that I am a well-rounded event professional. I can step up and answer questions and guide people in lots of different areas. And she said it made her a more well-rounded event professional. And that's what really resonated for me, was proving to myself that I know what I'm doing, and having those letters. Maybe one day somebody will ask me if I have a certification, or just putting those letters in my email signature. The first time somebody asks me what that is, that'll be pretty exciting, assuming that I pass it, of course.
Remember what it stands for.
The reason I can remember what it stands for is because it's the same letters as NACE.
NACE, yeah.
The C and the E are the same. So, but yeah, I thought that was very poignant conversation, and the way that she said that, and really kind of lit a fire for myself to say, I'm a business owner, I'm a professional, I'm well-rounded, I've done my time, and this can prove that.
Yeah. I filled out Food Network applications where they ask if you have any certifications. And so if you ever are required or asked to go judge something, it gives you more credibility on that, because I've judged several Johnson competitions. And then, like Corey was saying last week, that someone actually searched for her was a CM.
Like headhunting you?
Yeah, so it was actually through LinkedIn, and it was right after I'd moved to Chicago, and it was for In-N-Out, and they were looking for a head of their events department, and he called me and he was like, hey, would you relocate to California? And I was like, I literally haven't unpacked the boxes that I just moved to Chicago with, so I don't think so. But it was also a reason why I wanted to take my CMP. Like I told the girls last week, it's not because I thought it was better than any other certification, but it was because it's more well known across so many different areas of events. So like when people are like, I need a meeting planner, and they're in healthcare or they're in realty or like whatever, that they know that person knows what they're doing when it comes to meetings. I have to do a lot more explaining with my CSCP, but in the same sense, I think these certifications that people haven't heard of are like almost mean more because you have so much more hands-on experience and it like just is a bigger scope of things rather than like the CMP is pretty specific to conventions and hotels and stuff. So I think it just gives you a lot more gumption of like, I know what I'm talking about if it comes to a wedding or it comes to a corporate event or whatever, like the bones of all events are exactly the same. You know, you just need to know the ins and outs of each of them. And so I think that kind of speaks more to your abilities than being able to be like, oh yeah, I can open a food and beverage book and know ratios for beverages based on how many people you have, you know, like just equations that you can always reference. So that's just my personal take on it. And also I like to do the certification piece for continuing education so that I don't have to go back to school and pay an outrageous amount of money. So this is kind of my little like loophole around it to be like, yeah, I have an education, but I don't need to go back to school for that. So
Yeah, and I looked at the CMP versus the CPCE, and I felt that the CMP, like you said, Corey, was just, it was much more hotel and convention focused, and getting a chance to see what was on the test. And you know, for the CPCE, we got to talk a lot about that when we were at NACE Evolve earlier this year. So getting to learn more about what each of those pieces are and those 8 core competencies, I looked at that as like, this is much broader and it really touches on so many more pieces than the CMP does. So that's why I ultimately chose to do this one instead.
I'll speak a little bit because I do have a CMP, and I agree with you all 100%. It is my background is 20 plus years in hotels, so that's why I have it. However, I have since gotten out of hotels in the last, mistakenly went into the restaurant business about 9 months ago. But the CMP is definitely hotel convention meeting planner driven. The advantage of the CMP is if you have a true professional meeting planner and they see that you're a CMP, you can't just lightly get the CMP, just like the CPCE. It'll take me a while to get those initials down. You know, it takes experience and continuing education. It's not like you can just like pop online and take a little exam and now you have these acronyms after your name. So I think people definitely take you a little bit more seriously and know that you have the knowledge and the skill set because you have taken not only do you have to have the experience to be able to take the exams, but then you've also taken the time to study and get the certification. So
they do require 30 hours of continuing education as well as years of experience in the industry.
Yeah, I think the requirements are really similar, but the content is a little bit broader as far as the CPCE goes.
and just so I filled out my application for my CMP last year and took it in November. And just in comparison, and the year before that, I had to fill out my renewal for my CSCP, and the process for all of them are all very similar. But for CPCE is actually a lot easier. Sorry, that's my 8-year-old yelling at my dog. That they've kind of condensed it a little more. And it's a lot easier to go back and kind of accrue those hours. And you can go back 5 years. So, and I asked that question last week. So if you apply in July, you can go back to July of 2015 for those credit hours. And it's only 30 hours. And I thought it was nice that basically every 1 hour of education, or like you have 30 minutes or whatever, is equal to that credit. So if you have 30 minutes, it's half a credit. If you have an hour, it's an hour. If it's an hour and a half, it's 1.5. So it's a lot easy for conversion. I know the CMP was a little more stringent on like how you could do them. I don't know. I remember that being a little more cumbersome and having to upload everything and all that stuff. But this process seems a little bit easier and kind of just more transparent in a sense, like you don't have to fill out as much. And
That's
all
good.
that.
The application doesn't look very hard at all. I haven't done it yet, but it doesn't look hard.
And because I had Karen sign the, so Karen's my boss. I don't know if everybody knows this, but she signed the other part of the application, which is basically you need someone in the industry that attests to the fact that you've been in the industry for 3 years and 36 months or whatever. But I was asking her about, I was like, well, what about like the self-employed people? Like, who are they going to ask? Like, I could ask you because you're my boss, but I think you can probably almost ask anybody in the industry or like anybody in a capacity. That might be a question that we ask. So many animals.
Animals and children everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, mine came in with a skinned up knee that was like bleeding all over. I'm like, what am I supposed to do about it? Quest dad.
And I'm the only one here right now. My dad went to go get dinner and my husband's not like got like
Am is super helpful. So if anybody does need help putting together those continuing education hours, she can help you with that. I think I sent it to Ching, but you can actually just email them at cpce@nace.net. And she can help you put those hours together. So whether that's telling you exactly what you need to show that you went to Wedding MBA, or if you're short, there's lots of webinars on the NACE National website that count towards this. So even if you came up like a little bit short, you could watch a couple of those in a day and make up that difference and meet the requirement.
So they had me submit my registration, basically confirmation for Cater Source. They said up to the last 5 years, so I submitted for 3 years of that. And I also sent her my registration for the special event that I went to last year.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to see kind of how many quote hours that adds up to be, because I don't know kind of what that equates to.
more
So
than likely you have more than enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess so.
To 3 conferences and she's passed it. I only went to 2 in the last 2 years and I only had 20.
You have like 24.
I think. And
I got everything that I needed from 3 conferences.
it did not, Davis. It did not take me long to get those other, like I only actually had to go back to last year because all of these webinars and everything that we've been on even just this year since March count. And you know, they're all at least an hour. And so that's 1 credit. So I think I don't think you'll have to worry about it. Yeah.
Corey, do you know if they're accepting like the EIC webinars too that you need for CMP?
It's pretty universal, quite honestly. Like you might be able to pull your documentation from there.
Mm-hmm.
I had to self-load all of my info because I had always registered under my work email, not under my personal email. So I had to transfer everything, which was extremely daunting and really long. But you might be able to go in there and kind of screenshot it in a sense and see how much it takes.
Okay.
Since National takes care of all of it and you don't have to go through EIC or any other like extra network or whatever, it's I think they'll be pretty flexible if you can show you that you just have those CEs.
And when we say national, we mean it is Anne and 1 other person. It's the 2 of them.
There are 2 people.
That handle everything for CPCE. So utilizing that email address and just sending Anne and her counterpart whatever questions you have, they'll be able to help you pretty quickly, she said.
And I think because, so CMP is through EIC, which isn't even really an affiliate of any real like organization, like kind of MPI-ish, but like the CPCE is hosted through NACE and the CSCP is hosted through ILEA, and like all of the, like the DNCP and all of those, like they're all hosted usually by individual organizations. If you were able to fill out your CMP and take the test and pass, and I totally grant you that, I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. I got another one. It's not that easy, but that if you went through that whole process of their whole portal and sending all that info in, this will be cake because it's not nearly as stringent or as formal.
Yeah, I just recertified last year, so I have those hours.
Davis Matthew.
What other questions do you guys have?
No, Birdie. Harper, your turn to watch Birdie.
We tried to put as much pertinent information right now into those emails that you guys probably got. So, yeah, basically at this point, we're just, we made that deadline of July 24th to ask everybody to commit to move forward so that we can send everything over to Desiree and have her submit our applications together for that discount. So that's kind of the first step.
Yeah, the scholarship is due on the 15th of August. And NACE National has to have like a week after getting the applications to kind of process and approve and check hours and all that. And so then we need a little bit of time between when we get it back from NACE National to send it over for the scholarships, because you can't apply for the scholarship until you've been approved to
take the test.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you don't have to pay the fee until they approve your application, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, once you are approved, then you pay NACE the whole $425, and then if you get the scholarship, they reimburse you. So you
do have to come up
scholarship. You can start working right away.
Do they have on average like how many people apply for the scholarship each year, or like previous?
I think she mentioned that. What she did say was that they had added these additional 9 spots.
Crazy.
So I'm not sure if that was just like something that they did additional because of this year. And
because this year.
This year.
But I think it's pretty cool that they had 9 additional opportunities for that. So, can't hurt.
The worst they'll say is no, and the best they'll say is, here's $425 to go towards your test.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Now your test is free.
Like,
great. And I really like the fact that we're going to be doing this kind of all together every week. That always kind of helps, and that you kind of have a thing of like, all right, this is what we're going to go over these weeks and all of that. I think it's really helpful when you have more than a couple of people, because then you can always bounce off like ideas of like, oh yeah, I know that, and no, I don't know that, and whatever. That it's just a good kind of support group in a sense, and then it broadens your educational part too, to be like, oh, I didn't know that. Even,
yeah, or just being able to bounce ideas off of somebody else and say, am I understanding this correctly, or can someone else
exactly
this in my level of understanding?
Right?
And the fact that we're all from different backgrounds, I mean, that just opens it up to more education, learning from each other, which I think is always great.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, did everybody get just the Quizlet study guide that I sent out? Because I don't think anybody has their hands on a reference guide. Mine's supposed to arrive tomorrow.
I haven't looked at it yet.
You haven't gotten it?
I haven't looked at it yet. And when do you want us to send you our applications, not send them to National?
Correct. She needs them all submitted together.
That
the discount thing.
Okay. And when are you wanting to do that? Next week?
I would like to mail them off by August 1st, which is why the 26th is the commit date.
Are you emailing or are you mailing them?
I would probably be emailing them all together.
Okay. Cool. I have all of my stuff ready.
Yours is done. Okay. So I'll put them
My
all
credit hours, that's all I've gotten done.
Sorry?
I said I'm just working on my credit hours things. I haven't filled anything else out yet, but I'll get on that.
That's all
Oh.
I've done so far yet.
It really, that's the hardest part, is just saying like what it is, how many credit hours it is. Like you can easily fill out your job stuff from the last 5 years, and that's all that the thing is. And then the other thing that I didn't know we had to fill out, but that make sure that you get, is the signed thing, like saying that you can take it, that you've been in the industry or whatever. Just make, so it's not just the application, but it's that other page too. Just make sure that you get somebody to sign that.
The reference letter part.
It's not even a reference letter. It's
You do need a reference letter for the scholarship.
Yeah, you do need to get a reference letter for the scholarship.
No, the one that I'm talking about is the one that goes with the application to NACE. It's to certify that you've been in the industry. Like someone else has to attest that like what you're filling out is true, like your employment information and stuff like that. Let me see if I can find what it's actually called.
One thing just occurred to me. Do we all know who everybody else is? No? Okay. Let's take a round of introductions. Why don't we? So anyway, I'm Desiree. I'm the Director of Education for the Greater Denver NACE chapter. And so I'm kind of like the secretary of this group. So just making sure we got everything, our ducks in a row. I rounded up the speakers with supervisor verification form. All right then. And is that on the NACE National website, Corey? Yes. Okay. And so we will
I think it was on, I think it was actually on, I think it was the email that Ann sent us, the three of us last week, as one of the attachments, I believe.
Okay, I'll be sure that everybody gets
I
that.
found it somewhere really easily, so
Okay.
just make sure you fill that out.
Okay. Verification form.
And what do you do in real life?
In real life, I own the Makery Cake Company. So crazy cakes, things upside down, carved, sculpted, whatever. So yeah, that's what we do. So just let's see, Ching.
Hi, my name is Ching. I am the senior event designer over at By Design Collective. I am a brand new NACE member as of like 2 days ago. I'm super excited.
I was the first to know.
And so super excited to be kind of a part of it and figure out this whole getting fancy letters behind my name thing, because right now none of us really know what the future holds. And for me, I want to kind of just keep learning and keep building connections with people out in the industry. And I've got Buster here playing next to me, being my steady buddy.
Nice.
He's using the desk as my little desk thing as his like headrest. I'm like, I don't know how that can possibly be comfortable, but you do you.
With you.
I'm also recruiting Ching for my committee, so y'all back off.
Hell.
Nice. Getting involved is really the way you get the most out of NACE, honestly. So cool. All right, Nicole.
Yeah, so I'm Nicole Alfonso. I am a program coordinator at Bespoke Event Group, and I've worked with Ching a lot through that, and she actually invited me to jump on and kind of see what NACE is all about. So,
Yay,
and
good.
I'm loving it so far. So
Good. Yay. Awesome. Well, welcome. We're glad to know.
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, Kristen.
I'm Kristen Reinhardt. I'm the Director of Catering and Event Sales for Bonanno Concepts. We're a local restaurant group. You've probably heard of Frank Bonanno. We have restaurants in our group, and we also do offsite catering, or did, whatever you want to call it right now. But we have, full capabilities of doing it. As I mentioned earlier, I have 21 plus years in the hotel industry and decided to take a leap of faith last fall in going into the restaurant side of things, and here we are. So
I think we're all in that boat.
exactly.
Yeah. So, Amy.
So I am Amy Palafroni. I own Prisma Events, and we do wedding and special event design and planning and coordination. And I am the current vice president of our Denver chapter, and I'm in charge of all of our programming. So working with Des on the education piece of everything. That's really important, that all of our programs have an educational piece to them to help everybody keep moving forward and up on trends and all the ways to help us be better at our jobs. And it's a lot of fun, and I miss getting to actually do things right now.
Yes. Well, it stinks. You had the whole year planned out.
We did. We tried to get like super ahead of it and plan out all of our programs for the year, and
What happened?
that went up in smoke. So now we're exercising other creative pieces of our brains to figure out how to keep bringing education to our members and just supporting everybody as best we can as a chapter and as a hospitality organization. So
Keep us all together, keep us strong, keep us moving in the right direction. Awesome. So, cool. And then Corey.
Hi, I'm Corey Morley. I am the corporate event designer at Relish Catering, although I'm currently furloughed again because there's no corporate business. We all know that. And I'm the NACE Denver secretary, and I have actually been a NACE member since like November of 2009. So I've been pretty actively involved in NACE since then. I was Monica Cheeked back in the day, which most of our current board has been covered by Karen Tucker, my boss.
yeah.
So it's actually how I came to get my job since Fun Productions, which started all of this. So I'm gonna attest to all of the things.
Awesome. So cool. Okay. So with that, so let's see, Kristen and Nicole and Ching, you don't have the vocabulary list and the things we're going to study tonight? Yeah, the riveting accounting. Oh, you do have it. Nicole? Kristen, do you have it?
I do not. Nope.
You do not. Okay, I'm going to pop in here and get your email address. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll put that over real quick.
Hi, bud. Hi, buddy. Sorry, my puppy's jumping. Hi, bud.
I am opening this up too. I think she touched on it as well, but so the test is 175 questions, like Des said, and it's multiple choice. However, the different sections are weighted differently. So I did not write it down, but we can get clarification on what is what. But essentially, Anne mentioned that
I have that.
certain things are going to be weighted heavier than other areas. So accounting may be lower on the list, whereas food and beverage is going to be much higher.
I have it. It's counting. There are 16 questions. If I can get back to you guys. Beverage management, there are 28 questions. Catering service, there's 28 questions. Contracts and agreements, there's 16 questions. Event management, 28. Food production, 28. Human resources, 15. Sales and marketing, 16. And this is the, I sent you in that email, there's a whole bunch of links. This is called the CPCE exam content outline. And it tells you basically what is going to be in those sections. It's just 3 little bullet points for 28 questions. That is just kind of a little overview. The thing I just sent you is, it is not from the study guide. It's not anything official through NACE. It's something the Houston chapter put together, and they put it in an app called Quizlet. I haven't used it on my phone, but I've been using it on the desktop. And all of these were vocabulary questions, a sample test, and some notes from that Quizlet. And so I just basically printed them out for us because what they did is they took the study guide that none of us have yet because it takes 3 weeks for shipping. And they made this from that study guide. So that's what we're working with today. And I figure it'll just be informal. If I can get a real accounting person to come talk, then we'll just slip that into one of our review nights instead of this. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've got an MBA and all of it seemed very, very, I don't know, basic, I guess. So,
Yeah.
I mean, nothing crazy, just a bunch of vocabulary, a bunch of terms, just making sure you know like what HIFO and LIFO are, which all of us in food know exactly what that is. So let's just start with different types of accounting methods. So accrual accounting versus cash basis accounting. Do you guys know what that is? So like when I set up my QuickBooks, it said, are you going to go by cash or are you going to go by accrual? So cash means your accounting or your books happen exactly when the cash comes in and when the cash goes out. Where accrual accounting is like when you book something, that automatically goes into your accounts receivable. It's things that you count on. It's not actually tangible yet, but it's accruing. And so I chose cash because I like concrete things you can count on. So assets, things that have value that are owned by your business. Stuff. Balance sheet. So there's 3 different kinds of financial statements. I don't know. How many of you guys know much about accounting? And no. So 3 different
I
kinds.
mean, I pretend to do my own.
You don't, or you do?
Oh, I said I pretend to do my own. I do it. I don't. I assume I'm doing it right because I've never been audited. Knock on wood.
Right.
No one's ever come after me, so
Right.
I guess I'm doing what I've been doing.
Right.
I'm good at spending my clients' dollar to the dollar amount that they have budgeted. I'm
Yeah.
horrible about balancing my own stuff, so Janice handles all of our finances because that shit stresses me out, and I'm like, nah.
Nice.
I handle everything for our household.
Yeah.
If I got hit by a bus, Josh wouldn't even be able to pay our mortgage.
Oh, no.
I have no
You need to
idea.
write that down.
I have it in an Excel sheet.
Make a to-do.
Whether or not you can find that Excel sheet, however.
Write a little
Okay,
letter,
that's all I gotta say.
honey, in case I die.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know, when my mom passed, my stepdad, he's a little lost on all of it.
Oh.
Figured out to die. So write it down. Okay, anyway, balance sheet. So there's 3 different kinds: the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, and the income statement. So you know when people always talk about the bottom line, it all comes down to the bottom line and profit and blah, 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 blah. That's your profit and loss, also called the income statement. And so that's basically listing where all of your money is being spent and where all of your money is coming in. And then it all just kind of calculates down to the bottom line, which is your profit. The balance sheet is basically your assets versus your owner's equity, and everything that you owe as well. And all of your assets should equal what you owe because you paid for it. And so they should balance. And balance sheets, the trick with those, the thing that everybody always tries to test on is a balance sheet is a snapshot in time, because yesterday you don't owe the same amount of money as you would today. And so the balance sheet is always time dependent. And then the income statement works a lot, or not the income, cash flow works a lot on like your accounts receivable. So all of those, you took a 25% deposit, so you got 75% coming in at this date. And so like if you have an accounting software, if you pull your cash flows for next week, they'll tell you how much money is coming in and how much is going out. Doesn't exactly work for me because people come in and they purchase things at random time and then they pay the balance in like a year or something. So I've never been able to have a reliable cash flow statement because I never know who's walking in my door and paying for what at what time. So, but for somebody who only has a few clients a year and they, you know exactly when their payments are due, that works really well. Let's see, break-even point, when your revenue equals your expenses. Break-even formula, and that's one thing that a lot of people have actually said to me when I'm talking to these people who are going to be coming to talk to us, is know your equations, know all of those formulas, because, and Nicole and Kristen, did you get this in email? Did it come through?
Yes. Yep.
Know all of those formulas because they will be on the test. And then also, like, if you have an equation for figuring out like how big a dance floor is, this was Lisa Caruth. She said, go by the equation. So like if you have 500 people coming, it's going to be like a 900 square foot dance floor. That's the answer. Don't be realistic. You're never going to put down a 900 square foot dance floor. It's stupid. But use the equation. That's going to be your answer. So.
You know, this is probably, I think I know the answer to it. Are they going to have any like COVID related?
No.
Okay, good.
It's a standardized test, and the answers have not been changed for COVID. However, they're going to come out with a new version next year, and so that will have a little bit more pandemic related stuff just because it's so relevant these days. And
Are you in Colorado? How many square feet do you need per person?
you need 6 football fields for 30 people.
37,000 square feet for 50 people.
If you're at Exto Event Center for 14,000 square feet, you can have 73 people. Like literally, that was the equation.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'm curious.
The revised version or updated version of the test that will come out next year is basically just looking at some of the portions and bringing them up to date. So, you know, if there's like an entertainment section and they're talking to DJs about inputs and, you know, that stuff's been changed.
Anymore.
Yeah. Oh, for the majority of it, it's the same.
Yeah.
Or the same concept, maybe a different verbiage or something.
Oh, here's one thing that I don't believe I've ever called it: common size vertical analysis. This is on that profit and loss sheet or your income statement where the bottom line is the important thing. Common size is just something that you can compare from one company to the next. And it really applies to like hotel chains where you got one smaller hotel and you got one behemoth hotel, and you're trying to figure out, well, is one doing better than the other, but your income is, you know, this much for the little one and way up here for the big one. So it relies a lot on percentages so that you can say, okay, our cost of goods for this little hotel was 23% and the cost of goods for the big hotel was 21%. That's comparable, where an absolute number wouldn't be comparable. So common size vertical axis is just like the row on the income statement being able to be compared, and then horizontally being able to compare across, you know, the different either times or whatever your columns are segregated into, being able to compare horizontally. Components on a balance sheet. So assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. So those are just, so your assets and owner's equity are on like the left and your liabilities are on the right. So both of those should add to the same number, which they should balance. Sorry. Yes, sweetie. Can I watch a movie? You can't watch a movie on mommy's computer. I'm busy. But you can. Okay, thank you. This is he.
Bye.
He's got this old man face that he does all the time. It's so cute. Okay. Corporation is a business that's organized as an entity. So they have transferable stocks and shares. And so corporations, one thing with corporations is they will always have a board of directors, whether it's an S Corp or a real Corp. And it's they're not supposed to be paid. It's conflict of interest. But a corporation is a legal entity. It's treated as a person, sort of legally. And so you hear like piercing the corporate veil all the time. So if the CEO is running the business without like the input of the stockholders or the board of directors, then legally they could pierce the corporate veil and take personal assets. So you want to be sure you're falling in line with corporate requirements of having like yearly meetings and that type of stuff. Cost of goods sold, the stuff that you have to buy to make your stuff, basically. Cost of sales formula. Again, a formula, you got to memorize that puppy. Departmental contributory income is so what each department is contributing to the income, because there are some bigger companies where one department is not pulling their weight and the other one is, so it's just a way to compare them. Depreciation, so if you buy your refrigerator and 6 years later it's not worth the same amount of money, it's depreciated. Dividend, that's basically if your company has a profit at the end of the year, they're supposed to break that profit apart and give it to the stockholders, a certain percentage of it. You can't give it all, it just doesn't make sense, but a certain percentage of it should be divided amongst the stockholders. So like if you invested in Apple, their profit should be divided amongst the people who have the stock. And so that's what it is. Expenses, how much it costs you to generate revenue. First in, first out. So basically that's you have to rotate your stock. If you get a ream of paper, you don't set it on top of it. Well, I guess the paper is non-perishable. It's not a good idea. Bananas. So you buy bananas. You put the green ones in the back. So you use the yellow ones first. So the older stuff gets used first. Income statement, that's one of those financial statements that we did talk about. It has the profit and loss and revenue and all that stuff. Oh, one thing on profit and loss statement that you probably don't know, it does not have financing information on it. So if you took out a loan, you're not going to see it on your profit and loss. That's going to be on your balance sheet. So under liabilities. So none of your financing activities are ever on an income statement. Internal control, company's plan of action to guard against waste, inefficiency, and pilferage. Last in, first out.
Stealing cakes from the fridge.
What?
I said stealing cakes from the fridge.
You know, in my company, I always say if it's not for an order, it's fair game. Eat whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Whatever.
I used to treat appetizers.
Yeah. Nice.
Once they've come back from the floor.
Right. Liability, any obligation to pay a debt. So these are your financing activities. You've taken out a loan, you've got credit card balances, you borrowed money from your mom. It's still a liability. Owner's equities, total assets minus the liabilities of the business. So that's why it adds to the assets and equals the liabilities. Paid in capital, the total amount paid in by stockholders. This is a sore point between me and my husband. Partnership, unincorporated business, so not a corporation, owned by two people or two individuals. Periodic inventory method, physical count costing the inventory to determine cost of sales. So it's like you actually like take inventory periodically. Periodic method of accounting. Allocated to a specific accounting period. So when you pull your accounting sheets, so like quarterly, yearly, semi-annually. Perpetual method is
Same?
I'm sorry?
Are those
It kind of looks like it is, and like maybe it was entered from the fast track in one area and then Jill's notes in another, so it's basically the same.
Yeah.
Prime cost, combined food, beverage, and labor costs. I always think of this as like total cost. So Retained earnings is net income that is retained for your business. Revenue, total amount received. So revenue is not the same as profit. Some people really have a hard time with those two concepts, because if a client pays you 10 grand, it's not 10 grand in profit. You got to take all of your expenses out of that. Sole proprietorship is anything owned by one person. Specific identification inventory method. So basically, this is best done by like barcode. So you scan it into your inventory, you scan it out of your inventory, so you know exactly how much you have. Statement of cash flows, we touched on about knowing how much cash is coming your way in the next, whatever time period you want to pull the report for. A uniform system of accounts. So a system that allows companies to easily classify, organize, and present financial data in a consistent manner. So basically, if you have multiple branches, you want them all to be using the same accounting system. All of you are like stifling yawns. It's accounting, I'm not offended, I promise. And so that you can do that horizontal comparison. And then weighted average cost inventory method, like it's weighted average of each item or the inventory. So I won't bore you guys with the rest of these things because they kind of they're a little bit repetitive from the vocabulary. And then there's a sample test questions. Did you guys get the Quizlet link in the email that I sent out?
I still don't know that I saw it.
Use the desktop and it works just fine. I still haven't been able to figure out the app so much. But this is the sample test in the Quizlet that I sent over. And I took it and I got a 67% because like the fill in the blanks, I put in liabilities and the answer was examples of liabilities. Oh, come on, seriously? But the answers will be in there once you take that test, or I can scan it and send it over to you guys. So.
Do you know with that Quizlet, if it's okay, I have it open now. So it's broken into the different pieces.
So there's notes from two different people in there, and one of them was notes from the fast track that they had taken, and then the other one is notes that Jill kind of put in there from the study guide.
Okay.
So two different really good things to study from until we all get our actual paper versions.
Where did you take the, oh, here it is, test. Okay. My question is, when you take the test, is it the same every time if you retake it, or does it shuffle?
That's a good question. I don't
because
know.
I had the,
Quizlet is new to me. So.
well, I had the app for the CMP test, which was like a study thing, and I did not pay for it. So probably if you paid for it, there were more features, but you could go in and take a test every day, but I realized it was more or less the same questions.
Yeah, I think you have to put the questions in.
Okay, I gotcha.
So yeah, so that, I mean, we could go in and add more questions with more answers if we wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I'll look at that more for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't have a CPCE, so I don't know if I'm qualified to take you through the vocabulary or any of that good stuff. But it's revenue. Accounting's revenue. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. So the study group is set up to do 1 week of like having a speaker and then 1 week of just review, go through and say, all right, I'm not quite getting this common size vertical axis. Can somebody explain that to me again so that it makes it a little bit more clear? So we'll have 1 week on, 1 week off. Next week, we actually go straight into beverages because Monique couldn't do the 30th. So we moved it to the 23rd and I moved Karen up. And then, so it's every week after her. And then I might find somebody to do an actual accounting presentation for us. With, you know, what's on the content outline so that, you know, we can kind of go back over, because I think counting is one of the things that people struggle with the most. So it's not as much common sense as a lot of the other things would be.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the things that I know about events in general are things that I learned on the floor. So like hard by like solid things like accounting, there is a right and a wrong way. It's not like just learn like, yeah, that table should be that far away from the wall or whatever.
Right.
If this exam is anything like the CMP, it's not practical. It's book, not what you would do in real life. So that would be my advice. Like, just go by what the book says, and not what you could do practically.
Yeah.
Don't do practical.
That CMP boot camp that I sat in before MIC this year, they said you need to approach this as a meeting planner. Like the way the questions are worded, you're not gonna, if there was like a question was worded a certain way and you're looking at it from like the banquet captain manager perspective, you're gonna get it wrong, because the view of that test is from the view of the meeting planner. What are you going to do in this situation? So I think it'll be interesting to ask the our speakers what their view is in comparison,
Right. But some of them are actually in charge or on the committee for CPCE, and some of them are trained in fast track. And so some of them might be hesitant to tell you the content that's in fast track, but I don't know how it could not overlap. So
yeah, for sure.
They're all willing to help though, because they want to see us all succeed. So
yeah, they do.
Very cool. All right. Did I put the Quizlet link in the email that I just sent Nicole, Kristen, Ching? Does everybody have it?
I don't see it, but I could be missing it.
I sent a whole string of like helpful links.
It was at the very, very bottom.
Very bottom.
Section.
Of all the links. Let me go.
Kristen, I just dropped it into the chat.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect. And that's what I generated tonight's kind of study guide from. But I'd be happy to generate, the next couple as well until we get our books. We just have them. And if Ching wants to go renegade and just go from that, I'm sure he just slip past it to us. I don't know. Don't hold me to that statement though. We are being recorded. So, cool. All right, it's riveting. It's riveting. We're all in this, this together. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. So
I'm kind of glad just to do something different, honestly. Like everything's so crazy, and I feel like I have no rhyme or rhythm to my days, and I
purpose. I'm having really big trouble with purpose at the moment, other than keeping my children alive and not letting them kill each other or just watch TV all day.
Or me personally kill my own children.
There's that.
Yeah. I'm not as worried about them with each other. I'm worried about me versus them. But I'm looking forward to having something that I can focus on, and that's a little bit different, but still within my realm.
I like having something to do, something to work for, instead of just floating, going, what's going to happen next?
Well, one goal at a time, right, ladies?
Right. Well, hopefully we'll see everybody next week. This is by no means required. You do not have to commit to next week. You don't have to commit to take the test, but we hopefully see you all.
Yeah, and please reach out to myself or Desiree if you guys have any questions about NACE or what we do. And I know Ching and I set up a happy hour for the 28th So hope to see you on there. I know Nicole is probably hopefully going to join us for that.
Yes.
We're just going to give a little like why we love NACE and why you should come and play with us.
I'm a maybe for next Thursday. I forgot I'm flying to California, so I land, I think, around 5-ish. So I'll try to hop on my phone.
Are you moving people again?
No, my grandmother passed away right at the beginning of COVID. And so she got cremated like back in March, but like we haven't been able to get out there to do services. So services on Fridays. I'm flying out Thursday, but I really have zero clue what my flight plans are because I scheduled it and kind of pushed it inside all of a sudden. I'm like, oh shit, I'm leaving next week.
Okay. It's all good. We'll do the replay on YouTube. So.
Okay, perfect. I'll try to hop on though. I just don't know how interactive I'll be. I might be on headphones and no camera because
You'll probably know most of the beverage stuff anyway. Don't you think?
maybe I usually just email Dewey and make him order all the stuff that we need.
I know. I swear the things that I know are just from asking and being like, okay, have I ordered the right amount of stuff? How many glasses should I order for this bar? You know.
And then a lot of times too, like I'll go backwards on my rental orders. Once I see the alcohol order and calculate how many glasses of actual wine will be on site, and then kind of play with my numbers that way too.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a formula.
Yeah, but don't be practical. Just use the formula.
Yeah.
You need 8,000.
Somebody, I think it's Evan with Mix and Shoot. His formula for how much alcohol to order, he says is proprietary. He will not tell anyone what formula he uses to estimate bar packages.
It's probably because he doesn't know. He just guesses.
No, that's not his personality, but it is his personality to say that it's proprietary.
I would think depending on, as far as weddings go, the couple, like, I know some of my friends are going to be heavier, like, we need to order like 3 cases of vodka for 100 people. And some people are fine with 2 bottles because you know what your friends drink.
Yes, and that is how I approach it with clients too when they're asking how much to order. And I say, every group is different. I mean, I learned that my first wedding job, that every group is different and it's almost impossible to really estimate the bar because every group is going to be different. And so I have my formula that I use that I developed 10, 13, 12 years ago. Just watching what people did and then kind of, deconstructing it and figuring it out what the average was. So I use 1.5 drinks per person per hour. And that's usually pretty good, honestly, because that kind of covers the people who have 3 drinks in an hour. And then your aunt has 2 glasses of wine the entire night. So it kind of evens itself out. But
and let's be honest, post-COVID, you probably need to add 10% to everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's falling into the increase.
He's now an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already had a beer. Come on.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Des. Thanks for putting this all together. I'm really looking forward to diving into this and having something to work towards.
Yeah, awesome. I love the
letters
socialness of it. It's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll get this puppy up on YouTube and we'll see your smiling faces next week.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.